So Ruko sent me their drone, the F11 Pro 2, and before flying it, they made one thing very clear. They didn't want a polished promo video. They didn't want a sales pitch. They specifically asked for an honest review, even if that meant pointing out things that still need improvement. That alone is worth acknowledging because it tells you something about where this company is at. They're not pretending to be DJI. They're not trying to dominate the market overnight. They're trying to exist alongside the bigger brands and slowly improve their product. And that mindset actually matters when you start flying this drone. Now, if you go to Ruko's website and just read the specs on paper, the F11 Pro 2 sounds extremely competitive. According to them, this drone can shoot 4K video, capture high-resolution photos, fly for a combined total of up to 70 minutes with the included batteries, handle level 5 wind resistance, and offer a long digital transmission range. On paper, that puts it right in the conversation with a lot of popular consumer drones, but as we all know, specs don't fly drones. Real behavior does. So instead of jumping to conclusions, I approach this like someone buying their first drone in 2025. I unboxed it, set it up, flew it multiple times, and paid attention to how it actually behaves in the air, because that's what matters when you're learning. The first thing I'll say is that the overall experience is very approachable. From the moment you open the box, everything feels organized, the carrying case is practical, the accessories are clearly laid out, and the controller overlay explaining each button is actually a really smart touch. For someone new to drones, that kind of clarity reduces anxiety immediately. Setup is straightforward. The app walks you through the connection process, explains what's happening, and doesn't overwhelm you with advanced settings right away. That's important because a lot of beginners quit before they even fly if the setup feels complicated. Once you're in the air, the drone feels stable. It lifts off cleanly, holds position reasonably well, and responds predictably to inputs. GPS lock is solid, return to home works as expected, and nothing about the flight behavior feels unsafe or erratic. For a first-time pilot, that alone is a big win. Battery life is another area where this drone genuinely delivers on expectations. With 2 batteries included, you're not constantly rushing your flights. You can land, swap batteries, and go again without feeling pressured. That extended flight time makes practice more enjoyable, and it gives new pilots room to experiment without stress. Now let's talk about the footage, because you're seeing it throughout this video. The video quality itself is decent. In good lighting, the image looks sharp enough, colors are acceptable, and for casual content, travel clips, or learning purposes, it absolutely works. This is not footage that immediately falls apart when you look at it. But once you start flying more deliberately, you begin to notice where the limitations are. The biggest thing I noticed is movement. The drone doesn't move poorly fast, but it doesn't move gracefully either. When you attempt slow, controlled cinematic shots, the motion lacks refinement. The gimbal doesn't fully disappear from the experience. You can see small corrections, slight stiffness, and moments where the camera seems to catch up rather than flow naturally. This is especially noticeable during slow pans, gentle turns, or forward motion into curves. Instead of feeling smooth and continuous, the footage sometimes feels segmented. Not broken, just less polished. Part of that comes down to the gimbal, and part of it comes down to the fact that everything is fully automatic. You don't have manual control over camera parameters. You can't lock exposure. You can't set ISO. You can't fix white balance. For beginners, that's not a problem at first. Automatic settings remove complexity, but as you gain experience, you'll start noticing moments where exposure shifts mid-shot or lighting changes feel abrupt. You're trusting the drone to make creative decisions for you. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. This is also where the side-by-side footage comparison comes in. In this video, you'll see clips from the Ruko F11 Pro 2 alongside footage from a DJI Mini 4K. This is not about declaring a winner, it's simply visual context. What stands out isn't resolution or sharpness, it's consistency. The DJI footage tends to feel smoother during movement, and the gimbal behavior looks more predictable. That's not surprising. DJI has been refining that aspect for years, but what's important is this. The Ruko footage doesn't suddenly look bad next to it, it just looks less controlled. And depending on what you're using the drone for, that difference may or may not matter to you. If you're flying for fun, learning, or casual content, the footage holds up. If you're trying to create precise cinematic shots with controlled motion, you'll start feeling the ceiling fairly quickly. There are also a few smaller things worth mentioning, honestly. The controller does its job, but it doesn't feel premium. Buttons work, inputs register, but nothing about it disappears in your hands. Screen visibility can be challenging in bright light, and the overall feel is functional rather than refined. The smart flight modes exist, and they work, but they're limited. Follow modes and orbit modes function, but customization is minimal. You can't fine-tune distance or behavior the way you might want to as you become more experienced. And touching the sticks often exits automation, which limits creative flexibility. Now, let's address the main question directly. Can this be your first drone? Yes, it can. If you're new to drones, the Ruko F11 Pro 2 offers a forgiving, low-stress way to learn. You get long flight time, helpful automation, predictable safety behavior, and an experience that doesn't punish mistakes. What you're buying here is confidence. Where it makes less sense is for pilots who already know exactly what kind of footage they want to create. If you care deeply about camera control, refined motion, and cinematic precision, you'll outgrow this drone fairly quickly. And that's not a failure. It's simply the category this drone lives in. I also want to be clear about something else. I don't think Ruko is trying to replace DJI, and I don't think they need to. This feels like a company building an alternative entry point, something for people who want to fly without immediately committing to the ecosystem and pricing of the biggest brand. And the fact that they encourage honest feedback tells me they're aware of their current position. There are real strengths here: packaging, ease of use, battery life, and approachability. Alright, there are also real limitations: gimbal refinement, camera control, and creative ceiling. So here's the honest verdict. The Ruko F11 Pro 2 is not pretending to be a professional cinematic drone, even if some marketing language leans that way. In real-world use, it's best understood as a beginner-friendly platform that prioritizes accessibility over precision. If this is your first drone and you want something that helps you learn without intimidation, this makes sense. If you already know what you want creatively, you'll likely see its limits sooner rather than later, and that's okay. As always, I'm genuinely curious to hear your experience, especially if you've flown this drone yourself. What worked for you, and what didn't? And if you're deciding on your first drone right now, what matters most to you? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.